Welcome back, everybody. Just Mike here. We have our clock that came back in the mail because the gong wasn't working when it got back to the place it came from in the first place. Anyway, let me show you the scary part about using the mail department on shipping clocks. Sometimes, maybe most times, you're lucky, other times you're not. This is a clock you can see is in the box. It's smashed in pretty good. So let's pray this is still in one piece, we'll say. So far it's looking good. So, besides this hammer getting bent in a little bit, that's no big deal. I think it survived. So let me get this thing set up and see what's going on. Oh, and by the way, what I do believe could be the problem is what we'll call the Pac-Man. I told you that bushing I thought needed to be replaced, and there's a chance that what they call the grommet or whatever that's on the bushing, I thought possibly maybe it needed to be pushed up closer to this plate so it wouldn't wiggle as much. So far as I can see, he says it wouldn't gong. It's working. But this bushing, you can tell it still moves. Get my finger on it. It still moves back and forth, so what I plan on doing, I'm going to show you the bushing right in here is where that is. So I think I'm going to try to adjust that off camera. It's going to be kind of difficult to get in there because you're going to have to hold the Pac-Man down as you're trying to push that bushing up. And the bushings, I'm going to call it a bushing, it's on there pretty snug. It's meant to be, and so I don't know how easy it's going to be to push it back into place or up closer. I might have to take the movement apart. So I do believe I was able to slide that bushing up closer to the frame on the inside here, because I don't see, I guess we do still have a wiggle. So I decided to turn the hand to see if this wasn't contacting the 2-star part that makes the gong start. You notice how bent up this thing is? It's bent upward right now. So I'm going to have to see about straightening that out. So I'm going to say that was caused from shipping, but the gong still does work. So let me take this apart and see if I can get something over the shaft to straighten it out for my snail to work properly. So with my snail off, I've got a small hold socket I was able to stick on here. Not that one. The one I got on here. So I had a little bit of room to play. It goes clear over. And for where it was bent down, let's say, I was able to get that on there, slowly bend it up and look at it and see how well it was doing. And so far, by turning this, it looks like it's turning straight. And putting the wheel, the snail on, you can watch this and see that it's not wobbling. So now I have to get this back into time. Like I say, this here, the clock was wound down all the way. I hate to say it, but was this clock wound up to when it got home? So I got ahead of myself and didn't record. Anyway, the clock worked just fine when I shipped it, but for some reason, besides it getting banged up or whatever, the hands weren't moving. And so this here is what tightens down to make the hands move. It tightens these gears up. And so I bent these little feet down just a little bit to give it more strength. And of course it goes on top of here. And then the washer. And then you have to press this down to get the wire in there. But instead of the wire, I'm going to use a taper pin because I don't have that size of wire. I'll get the taper pin in and then I'll cut it off to a proper length, I guess the way I'll put it, so it doesn't hang up. Now let me get it cut off and I'll show it to you. So I have it cut off there. And now I'll go ahead and put my clock back together again. I also wanted to mention on the winders right here, I have a little drop of grease on there to make it an easier winding. It's not, you're not going to notice that much, but it's going to be better than oil, I feel. So I got the clock back together again. The hand was over here and it's moving, and so I need to actually set the minute hand to the time it is now here so I can see whether it's moving great or not. It should be. I don't want to mess with the pendulum length because I'm not worried per se about the timing of it. I just need to make sure it's not faltering, I guess we'll say. And also, as it comes up and the warning pin goes off, that it's able to go off and then continue around and strike the hour that it is, or the half hour. So this thing's been running a week now, still doing the gong, everything else, but that friction washer that I had to adjust so the hands wouldn't just flop willy-nilly. And also the reason why I adjusted it is because after shipping and then shipping it back, and it got damaged and whatnot, got the damage fixed, but then it wouldn't turn, so that's why I had to adjust it. Well, now you'll notice my finger, it's really stiff to push. It still ticks through it and whatnot, didn't have a problem with that, but it's too tight for the normal person to turn it. And if they try turning too high on the minute hand, it's gonna possibly bend. So I need to loosen up a little bit for it to be easy enough for the human hand to turn and not damage the minute hand itself. So I'm gonna have to go back in and adjust the feet on that washer so it's not as tight. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and put the dial back on, and I'm going to attempt to adjust this so it's really close to ticking the right beats per minute. So setting the 3 pins for this dial in, you can see that the hands might be impossible to wind up, or not the hands, the arbors might be impossible to wind up. So I'm going to have to see about getting this dial to turn in order to make it so we have a clear shot at winding this clock. So after removing this, I was figuring I had to, you can see how this has been punched to hold this plate here. I thought it might be difficult. I'd have to try to move this, but that wasn't the case. Put the screwdriver in there just for something to move it. The dial moves easily. So all I have to do is install this and then move the dial itself, because the dial is separate from this back plate and of course the brass plate as well. Fits pretty good. So what we're going to do is, I already know it's been gonging. I got the minute hand up to where soon the warning pin will move and get ready to strike. And like I say, I did adjust this so it's not as hard to turn, but it's harder than it was when I first started. Warning pin. And So this thing should be able to power through now, even at just a little bit lighter on that friction washer, to get this thing to do its job. So I got her done. It gongs when it's supposed to. Gongs the right amount of times. So I'm going to try to package this even better, because as you saw at the first of the video, they crushed the heck out of that box. And so I need to try to protect this a little bit better if I can. And with the dial definitely on there, hopefully whatever they do at the post office, they don't destroy this again. So this is episode 3, evidently, on this clock for Dixie. And I took my time with it. I will admit it's been over a week that I've had this thing running here, and it's been doing fantastic, except like I showed you on the friction washer is a little bit too tight, and it might still be a little snug, but how often are you going to change your time on there unless you let your clock wind down? Anyway, the gong's working fine and everything. All I need to do is, I guess, box it back up and let them know it's coming. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe because it's free. And until next time, God bless.